Everybody go through struggles, and it's so easy to give up. It's so easy to just forget about your dream or put it to the back burner. When you know you're worthy, you really have a different type of energy. You know, you don't put up with a bad relationship. You don't tolerate bad behavior. Every failure is not a failure if you learn from it. It's really just helping you grow.
What type of fear is bigger, the fear of rejection or the fear of being judged?
If you don't have the mindset and belief in yourself,
welcome to the Canadian Dream Podcast. If you have been here before, thank you for coming back. If this is your first time, today we have a very special guest, and she is a very inspirational person. She started her fortune or her success from scratch. And we're here again to talk more specifically about mindset and about lessons that people can get on how they can overcome the challenges that they are facing in their lives, regardless of what those challenges are. Before I introduce you to this very special person and friend of mine, I would like to ask you to remember to like this episode, to share it, and to subscribe to our channel on YouTube if you haven't yet. Okay, so without further ado, Denise Mai, welcome back.
Oh, thank you so much. It's such an honor to be here. Super grateful to be coming back to the Canadian Dream Podcast, because as I was coming here, I was just thinking like, wow, sometimes I feel it's so surreal to be living the Canadian dream, especially, you know, from where I came from. So thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, thank you for coming back.
Absolutely.
We talked about a year ago, or maybe just over a year ago, and you shared your story, which is very unique. I'm going to let you do this. So in a nutshell, who is Denise Mai? Where do you come from? For anybody who missed the episode, here we go, another intro.
All right. Well, I was born and raised here in Vancouver, but my mom, she's a refugee from Vietnam, and she came to Canada to escape the Vietnam War. And on her journey here, it was an easy one because she had to go on one of those boats. She was one of the boat people where she was probably about 600 people on the boat. It got raided by pirates twice. She lost her sister on the boat, unfortunately, due to the tragic conditions. And she had me at the age of 40. And we grew up in the downtown east side of Vancouver, where if you're not from Vancouver, it's really an area where there's a high level of homelessness and a lot of drug use, unfortunately. And so, you know, a lot of odds were stacked against me. You know, we grew up on welfare. I remember lining up at the food bank for food and for clothes at the Salvation Army, and even getting Christmas dinners at the Union Gospel Mission. So charities are such a big part of me, because I feel like as a young child, I went to a lot of charities. So now I just love giving back to different charities now. So that's how I grew up. And so I've now been on this journey of becoming a realtor for the last 14 years. And started working when I was about 9. And my stepdad came into our life when I was about 8 years old. And he moved us from the downtown east side into another part of East Vancouver. And I remember when I was about 18, we sold our house right in 2003, right before the market took off. And this is before I became a realtor. And we were renting in a very dark, dungy basement for about 10 years. And I would say these 10 years was probably like one of the darkest times in my life. And I remember going through like heartbreak and going through like depression at that time, because I was experiencing a breakup. And I went down this dark rabbit hole of comparing myself to my new ex's new girlfriend. And, you know, when you go into that comparison trap, it's a horrible dark rabbit hole to go into. So I don't recommend that. And so I really numbed myself by like going out, drinking, partying, and doing all that. And luckily, I realized one day I really like had to snap out of it, because if I continued on this trajectory, it just wouldn't be a good thing. And so I remember looking at her profile. She worked for a Fortune 500 company. And so one of my goals was to really like work for the Fortune 500 company, climb up the corporate ladder, become a CEO one day. And so I graduated university, actually worked for 2 Fortune 500 companies, worked for Accenture and Johnson & Johnson. But I realized that wasn't for me. And so I pretty much jumped into real estate. And here I am 14 years later and have an amazing team and just, yeah, living the Canadian dream.
Great. That was way better than what I could have done. Denise, we talked about a lot of things last time, so I want to try not to repeat so much.
Okay.
And I highly recommend that you go and check out one of our first episodes. I think it was between 10 and 20 with Denise Mai. But today I want to talk more about your secrets to keep your self-confidence intact and so high, your self-esteem, and to keep going despite all the challenges and struggles that you have faced. We were talking before we started filming here, everybody goes through struggles, right?
Yeah.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah, everybody go through struggles, and every day, some of the richest people on the earth are going through their own struggles. And a lot of times people are struggling in silence. They're struggling financially. They're struggling with their health. They're struggling emotionally, potentially with a breakup. And every day struggles are happening, but you just have to remember this line. And this quote is one of my favorite quotes from one of my mentors, Tony Robbins, is life is happening for you, not to you. Sometimes when you're in the thick of it, it's so hard to think about life happening for you because you're like, why me? Why is this happening to me? But if you could really take a step back and realize that whatever you're going through, it's just an experience, and you're really going through that experience to learn from it. And if you could really have the takeaways and look back and say, wow, those struggles really has built that strength within me and that character, and it's really shaped who I am and helped me shift into who I'm becoming. It's really creating that story that you're going to one day leave behind, and hopefully share your story with others so that you can be their light, or you can help inspire or teach others that if you can do it, they can do it too.
Give me an example of how you put this into practice, because it's a very nice quote.
Yes. I'm currently going through a journey of becoming a mom, and I've always wanted to become a mom at a very young age. I've just always loved children. Like I love other people's kids as much as my own. And I've been on this journey of 3 years, and I was diagnosed with bilateral hydrosalpinx. And what that means is that both my fallopian tubes are blocked. And it's been a very, very, it's been difficult, to be honest, because it's like sometimes I ask myself, like, why me? Because like all my friends, they've gotten pregnant so easily. And here I am just struggling a little bit. So I recently just got both my tubes unblocked. And I've actually gone through 3 rounds of IVF. And I think for me is I know I'm going to be a mom. It's just a matter of when. And I guess what keeps me going and is that, of course, holding my baby at the end of it. But what I really feel and the struggle that I feel that I'm going through is because I feel that once I hold my baby in the future, I could hopefully be the voice for other women who are struggling with infertility, because I know infertility is very prevalent, but it's not really spoken out, because a lot of times women feel ashamed. They are struggling in silence, and hopefully my light is that I want to help other women and share my story so that they don't feel alone and that they're not alone out there.
Can we just agree here that when you're 9 months pregnant or 8 months pregnant, you're going to come back?
Yes, I will.
I want to see you pregnant. Ooh.
Yes.
Denise, you just got married like last year.
I did,
right?
Yes.
And it hasn't been easy for you to have all the financial success that you have. Mm-hmm. And you have an incredible network as well. Mm-hmm. And everywhere you go, it seems like people really appreciate your presence. Mm-hmm. And they look up to you. But finding a partner was not easy.
My 20s, I was really so focused on school and then my career. And then when I got into my 30s, I realized that I really need to start finding a partner, because I realized I had this pattern of getting through the honeymoon stage. And after the honeymoon stage, I'd be looking for reasons why this individual is not good enough, or, reasons why he wasn't good for me, right? And I realized I had to break this pattern. Otherwise, I'm going to be single for the rest of my life. And so what I really worked on was self-love, because I realized that if your cup is not full and it's not full of love, where it's overflowing with love, it's hard to love someone else if you don't love yourself. And I realized this was for me because, a lot of times people would say, oh, Denise, you're so confident or you're so beautiful. But about 10 years ago, to be honest, I didn't feel beautiful inside. I didn't feel smart. I didn't feel enough. And it wasn't until I truly worked on like truly loving myself for who I am and who I'm not that everything changed for me.
And where do you think that came from? Because you are great looking and you have a great personality. So why weren't you feeling that? Is it because of your childhood?
Yeah, I would say, my mom is one of the biggest, I would say a big influence in my life. And I think growing up, everything that I did was never good enough. My grades were never good enough. She would always say, oh, my friend's children would be this, or my friend's children's married. Like, why aren't you married yet? What, like, so no matter my whole life, I was just trying to make my mom proud, because I just wish that she'd say, Denise, I'm proud of you, or I love you, So our culture, we're not very emotional in that sense. We don't really like physically hug. So I think as a young child growing up, I always never like experienced love like that I wanted from my mom. And so I really had to learn to love myself, and not only love myself, but love my mom for who she is and who she's not. So that's when I was able to start really attracting my soulmate.
Do you think a lot of women go through this? Because my wife worked with a lot of women in the beauty industry, skincare industry, and she repeats this often. She says, I work with so many gorgeous women, and they are usually the ones with most self-doubt, with lowest self-esteem, the prettiest ones. How absurd is that?
I know, it's crazy. And I think really what it boils down to is self-worth. Women need to feel worthy inside and know that they're deserving, and know that that's why I think self-love is such an important concept to talk about more, is learning to really love yourself for everything that you are and everything that you're not. And know that you're worthy. And when you know you're worthy, you really have a different type of energy. You don't put up with a bad relationship. You don't tolerate bad behavior or, your boundaries being pushed. So when you know you're worthy, you really stand for yourself. And that's so important. And I think with women who are, it's actually very prevalent nowadays, it's that comparison. You're always comparing yourself to a model or what you see on TV or magazines and
on TikTok and Instagram.
Oh, yes, exactly, which probably is making the situations even worse, right? But if you really feel that you're truly beautiful on the inside, it doesn't matter what you see, it just doesn't affect you.
What is most important for a woman who wants to be treated or considered a businesswoman?
Mm-hmm.
Is it to be pretty? Is it to be nice and liked? Or is it to be financially independent?
What's most important for a businesswoman, for me, I feel like it's knowing your worth. It's great to be beautiful, right? That's a bonus. It's great to have the financials, but the financials will only come, to me, I believe you're paid in direct proportion to the value you provide. So if you're not providing value out there, that's really the level of income you're going to be up to. But if you're over-delivering, over-coming through with what you're saying, you have integrity with your word, your income will really reflect that. And so for me, to answer your question, I think it's really about self-worth. If a woman knows what she's worth and she's worked on herself, she's invested time, she's invested resources in learning, reading books, making herself better, doing the work to heal herself from any like childhood traumas or situations that she's gone through. If she's invested that time in building herself up, that's the best type of confidence or clothing you can wear anywhere.
Great. I like how you have come to such conclusions, and now it sounds so easy, but you have gone through a long journey of self-rediscovery, let's put it this way. Let's try to help our audience, younger people, like I even brought someone here, Paulina, she's 17. So, she's so young,
Wow.
17.
Yeah.
And there's people watching who might be in their 20s, in their 30s. Let's guide them on this journey of self-discovery and first, discovering your value, like you said, your worth, but also then the second step would be increasing your worth, right? So discovering first. How can women like the girls watching this start this journey that you started a while ago?
I had a life coach at one point, and one of the exercises she gave me was the mirror exercise. Go home, look in the mirror, and look yourself in the eye and tell yourself, I love you. I love you, Denise. And also bring in affirmations like I am beautiful. I am smart. I am kind. I am genuine. I am enough. And the first time I did this exercise, I cried because it was like the first time I actually looked at myself in the mirror and told myself that I love you and that I really acknowledged myself for the first time. And incorporating this exercise into my life. And I think I did it for about every day for about 3 weeks, really changed my whole perspective. But also another exercise that she gave me was, she said, Denise, do something that you've always wanted to do for yourself that you've forgotten, like a hobby or something. And so there was this restaurant called Le Crocodile. I don't know if you've ever heard of it, but it's a French restaurant downtown. It used to be by Berard, but I think it's closed down now. And I wanted to save this restaurant for my future partner because it's this romantic French restaurant. And so I decided to take myself out on a date to this restaurant. And so I went by myself. And by the end of the meal, I asked for the bill. And the waiter was like, oh, the gentleman over there, he left already, but he paid for your bill. So it was such a kind gesture. But I think going through that really helped me for the first time in my life, really enjoy my own company and really enjoy being with myself. Because if you don't even enjoy your own company, how can you expect to attract the person that you want into your life?
I like that. We're getting to a sweet spot here because we see a lot nowadays. Oh, love yourself, you're enough. And then women find it harder and harder to find a partner. So there's, you can go all the way to the other side of the pendulum and then, you're stuck. You're going to be single forever and miserable. You're not going to be loved. So how do you find balance? How can you get to the point where you go, you know what? I love myself, but I am still able to find someone who deserves all of this and all my love. And then we can become partners and be even stronger, which is what you recently found.
Exactly. I think for me and my partner, we found each other. He's a bit older than me, and we're both older, I would say, compared to somebody in their 20s.
Compared to Paulina.
Yes. Exactly. I think when you are whole yourself, you don't need anybody else to complete you. You don't need somebody to make you happy. You can make yourself happy on your own. And my partner, he's the same. He's complete on his own. So when two people come together and they're both complete and they're both happy and they're not expecting the other person to make you happy, that's when I truly believe that love can really blossom. And to be honest, my partner was not somebody that I would say was my type. Because I think a lot of people who are single nowadays, they really get into this pattern of having a type. And I saw him truly for who he is and just loved him for him, right? Versus before I would have expected him to be this, and this. I had an 11S checklist, by the way.
Yeah, I think it's because we tend to project in others what I want. I want him to be this and this. It's because these are the things that you might be lacking, right? So when you were complete, you go, okay, I actually don't need this anymore, and it's amazing that I found a partner that offers that and that and that. Oh, cool, that could be great. Let's mix these things up and have a nice life together. What has been the main challenge now for you in terms of improving yourself? Remember the second step? One is accepting, loving yourself for who you are, but now how do you increase your self-worth?
Ooh, that's a very good question. I think the most important part for me is never to remain stagnant or to be complacent, because whenever you're complacent, you're not growing. And if you're not growing, you're dying. That's what
I hear Tony Robbins
said that. Yeah, that's what he
progress.
said. Yeah, always progress. And even if you're moving 1 millimeter in the right direction, that's progress in the right direction. And that's what happiness really is. For me right now is learning to become a better leader for my team, stepping into that leadership role really creates more responsibility, because I feel a responsibility to everyone who's joined me, because they look to me for guidance, for mentorship, for coaching. And so learning to become a better leader has now been the next overarching goal. And of course, becoming a mom, Also, I'm learning to just develop a healthier lifestyle overall, just making sure I like take care of myself so that when I welcome a baby into my body, my womb is going to be healthy. I'm healthy mentally, physically, emotionally. So these are all just like different pillars that I'm always constantly working on, and just constantly listening to podcasts like this where I'm always like evolving and listening to other perspective and not staying open-minded, not closed-minded.
So let's stay on topic. Self-worth.
Yes.
How else can you increase it? You just mentioned get out of your comfort zone, try to make small progresses. What else have you learned?
A very important thing is like for people who are working on self-worth is to go inside, because I think a lot of times right now we're so distracted by what's happening externally. We're distracted by social media, our phones, TV, but we really got to sit back and really kind of go back to that inner voice. Sometimes we ignore it. And we just kind of like focus on things that are to-do lists. But sometimes I think we need to really just sit back and sit still and really go inward and kind of give yourself some silence, whether it be for 5 minutes or 10 minutes, whether that be going for a walk or going back into nature, hugging a tree, sitting, stepping on grass with your bare feet, like grounding yourself. I feel like we need to kind of have more stillness, because when you have moments of stillness and clarity, you're going to be able to pave the way of what you want and what your purpose is, and finding that clarity within you instead of always looking externally for validation. And I think that helps with worthiness, because when you truly listen to yourself, you're telling yourself that I'm important. I'm listening to what I want. I'm putting my needs first. And this is about prioritizing yourself, because a lot of times people prioritize their friends, their family, their kids, their parents, their dog over themselves, right? And it's about telling yourself, I'm going to put myself first. And how can you do that? It's like taking a bath sometimes, or going for a massage, doing something that you love, something that gets your creative juice flowing. Whatever it is that sparks that joy within you, go back to that, because that will help you with your worthiness and understanding yourself for who you are, and just loving yourself more and more.
Okay, so this is again about discovering your self-worth.
Mm-hmm.
But now, how do you increase your value to the world? One thing that you do very well is you add value to the world. Mm-hmm. You are great at serving other people. Mm-hmm. So how have you been able to increase, let's put it this way, your value to the world?
That's a very good question, because I think for a lot of time I struggled with thinking I had value. But what I'd realized is, in order to lead or to add value, you really just got to be 1 or 2 steps ahead of someone else to be able to give value. And I add value, whether it to be my friends, family, realtors. I usually, like, so for example, adding value on this podcast, like being on podcasts is speaking, all right, doing more content, sharing my content and my ideas, or if something comes to my mind that I think it would be valuable, record it and share it with the world, because you never know what you're going to say that could really impact their life. And it really creates that ripple effect. I call it like the butterfly effect, where you can say something and impact one person, and that one person could impact their circle of influence and really create that ripple effect in the entire world. It's an amazing feeling when you're able to do that. And I think really at the end of the day, know that whatever you're sharing, especially if it's something that comes from your heart and that is something you've learned or a lesson you've learned in that experience, I really love acknowledging people who do an amazing job. For example, even if it's like a waiter, like who's providing great customer service, I always tell them, like, I just wanted to let you know you've been amazing today, and I really loved having you, serve us today and help us take our order. And it just brings such a bright smile to their face. And, those are little ways to add value, but makes a huge impact in someone's life, because you never know what they're going through. They could be going through some struggles, but you making that comment or adding that smile can brighten up their day and really shift their energy.
Yeah. Where's the sweet spot that you find between having self-worth, but also knowing that, yeah, I love myself, but I have to go out there and actually help other people. Because one thing is, it's easy in the mirror. Okay, yeah, I love myself. Great. Now I'm going to go back to my own world and be here. No. Yeah, I love myself. Great. We're good. We're good. Yeah, we're good. Okay, now let's go and serve other people.
So how to balance that?
Yeah.
everyone's in different stages of their life. And I think self-love and that it's a continual practice. It's not like you can do it for 3 weeks and then stop, right? Like in terms of the mirror exercise, you can get to a place where you feel comfortable with yourself, but then you're still working on self-love every single week or every day or every other day, depending on if you need it's like a little tune-up, right? Because a lot of us will get down. We're going to have ups and downs of life. And then balancing that with going out and serving. So I feel like if you feel pulled to do that, because not everyone gets pulled to want to serve because they may have other priorities that they're focused on. But if you feel called to want to share or want to serve or want to be able to spread some kindness, do that. Because I think a lot of times we kind of hold ourselves back and think that we're not enough or there's what do I have to share? But I think it's like when you feel called to, just step into it and don't let fear get in the way. Because I think for me, I always say to my team is like, whenever you feel fear, get comfortable with feeling uncomfortable. Because I feel like it's on the brink of change. Yeah. Because whenever you're feeling fear, it means you're stepping outside of your comfort zone into the unknown. But it's almost like feel fear, but do it anyways.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the unknown is where the bigger opportunities are waiting, right?
Absolutely.
What type of fear is bigger, the fear of rejection or the fear of being judged?
It depends on the person, because some people have been rejected their whole life. So that's going to be more important for them. And the other one was fear of, what was the other one that you said?
Rejection or judging.
Judging.
Being judged.
Being judged. And I think people feel that they're judged all the time. And, I don't know, I wouldn't say there's
What
one.
is it for you?
Oh, that's okay.
For you. Or what
fear of judge or fear of rejection. For me, it's going to be fear of judgment. For me, I don't.
Because of your mom.
Yeah, and that stems from my background of being probably judged my whole life. I'm actually not too afraid to be rejected. Believe it or not, I'm one of those people that
work in sales.
I work in sales, so it's almost like I get rejected so much that it's just a part of like rejection is a part of sales and real estate. So that's what I've come to the conclusion of. But fear of judgment, I still, to be honest, sometimes even struggle with that because like I've been working on this course, real estate course, for over a year, and I've been procrastinating on it because I think deep down inside, part of me still feels that, is this course good enough? Like, are people going to actually learn from this course? Like, I feel like people may judge my course, right? So that really boils down to people judging me. And so that's why I think I've been just stuck on this, like, I say perfectionism, but really perfectionism and trying to make the course perfect is really perfectionism is procrastination in disguise.
Yeah. And I think that's the type of fear that most of our audience can relate to, or maybe most people in the world, of being judged, right? I overcame that fear a while ago with the podcast. At the beginning, I was so stressed out. How do I look, and how's my hair, and the shine, and the lights, and this, and how is it, and the questions, how am I coming across? And I stutter sometimes, and English is not my first language. And I used to do so many takes for the intro and outro, like 5 takes, 6 takes. Now it's usually 1, right, guys? It's usually 1 take. Good. It is what it is. Great. Outro. It is what it is. Done. Because now I see that the value is in this here, this content here. If you are gonna judge, for this, or for my English skills, for example, then this is not for you, right? Then you're not even perceiving the real value. It's like you're going on vacation, you're flying somewhere, but you keep complaining about the food. You forgot that this flight is taking you from A to B. And that's what really matters. The food in your plate, that is ridiculous,
Yeah.
So that's what I think. So I think being afraid of being judged might mean that you are not focusing enough on your goal.
I agree with that. 2 years ago, I was about to go on stage and in front of 7,000 people to interview the owner of eXp Glen Sanford. And I remember being backstage and I was like really nervous. And I got some really great advice from the MC of the a conference I was at, and he said, Denise, if you're feeling nervous, it's because you're focusing on yourself. You're not focusing on the audience and who you're speaking to. So if you shift that energy from inward to outward and who you're really trying to speak to, that's really going to shift your whole entire demeanor. And I'm like, wow. And so that's what I really taken throughout my life now. It's like, okay, anytime that I feel nervous, or I'm like, okay, let's just shift this energy for a moment. Am I focusing on me, or am I focusing on the person? So now with my course, I'm finally going to be launching it next month, because I said, you know what, every day I'm not putting out this course, I'm not impacting a realtor that I could be helping, or a person, and changing their life. So it's really helped me push the needle and shift that needle to progress.
What is the main idea behind your course?
My course is going to be called How to Become a Top 1% Realtor. But it's not only about becoming a top 1% realtor, it's about becoming the top 1% in life. You know, that means like there's the wheel of life, right? Whether that be your health, financially, emotionally, spiritually. Learning to just become the top 1% in every single area, and really living the best life that you can, and living your life to the fullest. It's 3 modules. It really talks about mindset is number 1, because that's always so important that I find. And second is really the sales skills. And then third is really marketing and branding. So,
oh, great. I want to talk more about mindset.
Yes.
But first, what is the main lesson you have learned about people and how you can establish great relationships with people?
You have to understand yourself first to be able to deal with people. So whenever I hire, or whenever I bring on a new agent, I always get them to do at least 4 personality profiles.
Oh, I was going to ask about that.
Yes. Yeah. So 4 personality profiles, because I want the person to understand who they are, because then you'll be able to identify when you meet somebody potentially who they are. Because let's say, for example, with the DISC personality profile, if you're dealing with somebody who's very like a driver, dominant, you got to handle them, very short to the points. But if you're dealing with somebody who's a little bit more analytical and needs more numbers and data, like informative, then you need to provide the facts and figures and let them make a decision and not press too hard. When you understand people, know how to deal with people for individually, for who they are, and you understand how they are, it just makes everything so much easier.
And when you do those personality tests, you also understand what type of personality you have.
Yeah.
Which is what I think most of us who have never done that test, including myself, I never...
Oh!
Can you believe it?
Okay, I'll send you them.
Yeah, okay, good. My wife just did one like 2 days ago. She got the results and it was, wow, this is so spot on. Things I've been telling you for years, now you can believe me, it's all here.
Yes.
It's insanely accurate.
Very.
Any other mistake other than not understanding people that you think that people make when they are trying to establish good relationships but end up nowhere because they don't know something that you know?
Well, I feel like a big mistake a lot of people do is they kind of focus on the self more, and like they talk about themselves or what they have to offer. They're trying to sell. So, that really repels people and really says, okay, this person is just all about themselves. But when you actually take the time to listen to the other person's needs or what they want, or try to get to know them for who they are, build that rapport, build that connection, it creates a different type of level of connection with that person. So I feel like that's the biggest mistake a lot of people do. They don't really take the time to really get to know the other individual or client on who they're trying to serve or help.
You see, it's pretty much the same answer. It's shifting the focus from yourself to your audience, to the other person. How important is it how you present yourself?
This is so important. And I always tell my team, and this is something that I've always did for myself, is like, whenever I'm meeting clients, especially for realtors, you want to come off like you're professional, you're knowledgeable, you're trustworthy. So it's like if you hired a lawyer and they were just in like khakis or shorts and like, just a beater, you wouldn't really trust that lawyer. But if a lawyer shows up in a suit, you all of a sudden have a different perception of them. So I truly believe, how you dress is really an extension of who you are, but depending on what kind of industry you're in, because not every industry requires a suit. Not every, like some industries could be, like, for example, Steve Jobs, he's always in, like, when he was alive, he was always in a white turtleneck and blue jeans, and that's how his company was. It was very like casual, but it was a multi-million-dollar company.
Yeah, and how you present yourself is not only what you're wearing, but also
Yeah.
how you carry yourself, right?
Yes.
And I think many women believe that
Mhm.
only women are judging each other,
Mm-hmm.
but we men, we select the winners from the losers right away. It's a split second. Winner, 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 loser, 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 oh, winner. And we have a lot of respect for the winners. But we do this so quickly.
Mm-hmm.
And it is more, I think, with men, it's more about how you carry yourself,
Mm-hmm.
whether you work out or not, whether you slouch or not, and your hair, etc. It's more about that in the way you speak, of
Mm-hmm.
course,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
the pitch that you have, all these things, not only how you dress.
Of course. And I think when I see a lot of new agents starting out, a lot of times they're not confident, and you can see it in their language, in their body, right? When you're meeting a client, you've got to really have an upright posture, sit up taller. And when you're speaking, speak with confidence, have a confident tone, remove words that are like try, I think, maybe, because those words are unsure. So even the word choices and the tonality makes a huge shift in your personality and how you come across.
Yeah. And I would add, it's something that we touched on other podcasts.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to talk too much. I want to let you do the talking, but confidence is something very hard to fake because it shows when it's fake, right? If a person is sitting like this, we know, like, hey, we know, man, you can slouch. You don't have all that confidence. But where does confidence come from? I think you should work on building that self-confidence, and that comes from keeping the promises that you make for yourself, right? It's little things. If you say you're going to wake up early, you better wake up early. If you say you're going to stop eating all this crap, you better stop eating all this crap. If you say you're going to finish that task by Thursday, you better do that. And all these little things will build your confidence, right? And then, so automatically you're going to go from here to here. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And we also made that distinction a few weeks ago when we were recording a super nice episode with Jess Obroy, which came out a few weeks ago. So we were talking about the difference between confidence and arrogance.
Ooh.
And I think confidence is, I can do it. I know I can do it. And arrogance would be, only I can do it. Or I am the best at this. Nobody else can do it as good as me.
Oh, yeah.
So that's a fine line too.
Oh, yeah. Fine line between cocky and confidence.
Yes. Another topic we love talking about is mindset. We know how important it is, and it's something that also has to shift as you shift your goals and your lifestyle, right? You talk a lot about this in your course that is coming up soon. So what is the 8D module or 8D framework?
Yes.
What is the 8D framework?
Yeah, so I came up with this 8D framework because I've really design your destiny, and it's really on working on your mindset. And so the 8D framework is, the first D is dream. You got to really be able to dream and visualize what it is that you want to achieve, because until you be able to dream it and visualize it in your mind, you won't be able to bring it into reality. And so I think a lot of times we forgot about our imagination. We stopped imagining. We kind of let our people's opinions and thoughts kind of get the best of us. So number one is having that dream. And number two is having a desire. Desire is your why. Like, why do you want to achieve this dream? So for me, the longest time was to give my parents a happy retirement. That really was my strong desire. And so that really helped propel my dreams to reality. The third one is you got to deserving. You got to know that you're deserving of what it is that you want to achieve. Because if you don't think you're deserving inside and you feel you're never enough, you would never really achieve what you want to achieve, because inside you feel that you're not enough, you're not deserving of it. So knowing you're worthy and that you're capable can really help you progress and get towards your goals. Number four, it is decide. You got to make a decision and just go for it. And don't let anything stop you. So that number four is decide. And number five is drive. You got to have an undeniable drive to get to where you are. And it's like almost like a GPS. You put in your destination of where you want to go, and there's so many routes that can take you there, but it doesn't matter which route. You're just going to get there at the end of the road. But a lot of people get stuck in analysis paralysis, or they get stuck in the how, or how am I going to do this? But as long as you're taking massive action and having that drive towards your goal, you're going to get there. The next one is determination. You got to have unwavering determination, because there's so many distractions out there, and you got to keep your eye on the prize and make sure that you do not waver from that. The next D is dedication. Dedication to your goals. Just remember, you got to be dedicated. And, the thing is, some people, they have a goal that they always want to, actually they have a dream, because they don't really have a goal because they don't have a deadline on it, right? And they always say they want to achieve that or do that. But if you're not dedicated, it's so easy to give up. It's so easy to just forget about your dream or put it to the back burner. But continue that.
See, guys, see, you watching? The last one.
Is when you achieve all of this, is really going to get you to your destiny. Yeah. So if you follow these steps and really continue and persevere, you'll be able to design your destiny and know that every decision you make can lead you closer to your destiny.
And what about the F that everybody is always afraid of?
Fear?
Failure.
Oh, failure. Yes. Fear there's an acronym for it. Have you heard of it?
No.
False evidence appearing real.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so that's really what fear is. It really shows up as you think it appears real, but it's really just we are stopping ourselves because of that little voice in our mind saying, oh, don't do it, you're going to fail. But really, if you look at failure as an opportunity it's not a failure if you're learning from it. If you're learning from the experience and having that experience, every failure is not a failure if you learn from it. It's really just helping you grow into a deeper person of who you are.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Failure is learning, right? It's a huge learning opportunity.
Exactly.
Denise, another thing that I think a lot of women and a lot of successful people, regardless of their gender, deal with is envy and jealousy. Mm-hmm. How have you been dealing with it?
That's a very good question, because I actually kind of experienced this a little bit about 10 years ago when I was probably at the peak of my career. I remember going to the office, and one of the conveyancer was like, oh, I think I posted something on Facebook or something like that on social media. And she's like, why did you post that? And, she was kind of very apprehensive. She's like, oh, Denise, a lot of people don't like you. A lot of realtors don't like you, right? And I was like, for the first time, I was like, wow, I got taken aback, because for me, I'm always like, I just get along with people. I don't really like conflict. And so for me, it's like, but I realized your vibe will attract your tribe, and not everybody will be will like you. And there's gonna be people who envy you or whatnot. But what I've turned it around into is that there are gonna be people who are drinking haterade. And I always say, if you're a hater, join my fan club, because there's probably a lot of haters out there that may envy me and may envy my success. But at the end of the day, I know who I am and what I've done to get to where I am. So if they don't see that, and all they see is that, envious, and looking at me as if I'm, something that is bad energy, then I'm like, it's okay,
When you perceive that that someone is hating, or let's say when someone is envying you, do you try to dodge that, avoid that, or do you use it as fuel?
I definitely use it as fuel. So that's why for me, it is. That's why I say that, join the fan club, right? Honestly, I don't feel like I have that many haters or people who are envious. There probably is, but, to me, they never show it, right? So I don't know too many people that are like that, but I think there probably are out there. But I think I just have these rainbow colored glasses on all the time, where I always see the best in people, and I don't really see the negatives too much. But I am very aware of energy, and if I do feel kind of a little bit negative energy, or people who are kind of a little bit more energy sucking. They're a little bit more draining because they're like, talking about problems or talking about the news or talking about things that are not very uplifting. I usually kind of create a bit of a boundary with those people. I don't really spend that much time with them. I kind of keep them, at a distance. I love them from a distance.
How were you able to switch from super scarcity to an abundance mindset that you have today? I know it's not always abundance, right? For you, I think you still have a few backlashes sometimes. You still go back there, scarcity, and you have to remind yourself, right? Hey, abundance. Is it like that?
Yeah, sometimes you still catch yourself, right? And even right now, I think for myself, it's like I'm feeling more of the pinch right now because of like the higher interest rate and everything like that. But a book that I read was Rich Dad, Poor Dad. When I read that book, it really changed my life because I realized my mom was the poor dad and that I wanted to learn from the rich uncle. And so I think that's really what started me getting interested in real estate and becoming a realtor, because I'm like, I want to start investing in properties. I want to be able to build passive income, reach financial freedom. And so that book really changed my whole perspective on life.
When you feel that you have some low energy, because I know you're being busy and not every day is like this. You can't surf the same wave forever, right? Sometimes you go, okay, the wave is gone. Now you swim, go back to the shore, recover, go back and chase the next wave. What do you do when your energy is low, when you feel defeated, or when you hit the wall and, okay, this is it. And then you go back to fight mode and success mode. No, let's go.
Yeah.
How do you do that?
I feel it's very important to take breaks for yourself. And so for me, a lot of times, like for me, I love massages. It's like getting a massage, taking a break, or watching, like I don't watch TV, but I do, the only things I will watch if it makes me laugh or if it's like a romantic comedy. Like I'm such a romantic at heart. So right now I'm watching The Bachelorette. Yeah, so I just love watching people fall in love, and I really create like more happy hormones, or I actually even do some yoga at home, or I'll do like a little workout, because working out really helps like build up those endorphins. And so whenever I feel like I need a little pick me up, I'd either do some of those things, or I'd even hang out with some friends or family that I feel like will lift me up, whenever I'm feeling down or if I'm kind of burnt out. I just take a little break for me and just do something that I just want to do.
Is there anything that when you look back in time, that you think you could have done differently or you should have done differently in your life? Any regrets?
Honestly, I don't say I have too many regrets. Because the thing is, I feel like everything that I've experienced in my life has really led to who I am today. It's made me who I am, Even if I made a wrong decision or I've dated a wrong partner, it's because I went through that. It's allowed me to go through that experience and learn from it, and it's made me a better person because of it. So I wouldn't say there are any regrets. I think there probably may have been some moments where I feel like I should have spoken out more. Instead of like dimming my light or dimming my voice, I should have spoken up more in certain situations. Whereas now I feel like if there is something, I am more confident to speak out compared to before. And I think it was the whole working on my self-love. Whereas before I didn't have as much self-love. I didn't have that self-worth. So I almost felt like my voice didn't matter. Whereas now, like going on this journey of self-love and finding out who I am and knowing my worth, it's like I'm not afraid to speak up anymore. I'm not afraid to share my voice. It's kind of funny, like my Chinese name is like quiet. So like growing up, I was actually really shy and quiet.
You?
Yes, I know. Yeah, my name is quiet in Chinese, like peaceful, quiet. Yeah, so like that's like growing up, I was just always like really shy, really quiet. And so I just always, it wasn't until like within the last 5 to 6 years, I really found my voice. Yeah, and I think for me, there's still so much I want to do and so much I want to help, and so much I want to be able to do still. Like I have so much on my goals and dreams list that I want to help, people out there, that even though I am very, very happy of where I am at in my life, I'm always wanting to just push for more and just do more. And I don't get me wrong, I'm very, very grateful every single day that I get to live the Canadian dream. But I want to be able to serve more. I think that's the biggest goal for me now.
Progress. Tony Robbins. I
Progress.
know.
Yeah.
Tony Robbins has a huge influence in your life. You have actually attended his
All of his
mega events.
conferences. Yeah, all of them.
How many?
I've actually basically attended his whole Mastery University, which means like attending all his like Unleash the Power Within, Date with Destiny, Life and Wealth Mastery, Business Mastery, and I even went to his. He has a resort in Fiji, so I was there for Life and Wealth Mastery.
What is the most precious lesson that you learned from him for you specifically?
For me, it was attending Date with Destiny. It was learning the difference of masculine and feminine energy. And I realized that I was in my masculine energy a lot because throughout my whole life, I've had to work hard. I've had to, being in real estate, I'm in my masculine. You're in your doing. You're in making decisions. You have to, you're a very driver personality. And I realized, and at that time I was single, and I realized that I was demasculating men.
Well, this is so precious. We're so far in this episode. I hope you have stayed until here. To listen to this.
Yeah.
What is the feminine energy?
Feminine energy is like, what I've realized I needed to do was like whenever I was with a partner or when I was dating someone, I had to because at the end of the day, men want to feel like they can provide. They want to feel the hero. They can protect. That's the natural instinct of men. And I realized that I was so independent my whole life that I was like, I don't need a guy. I don't, and I think I realized because I was doing that, I was demasculating them and not letting them provide for me and take care of me. And so once I've realized the polarity of masculine and feminine energy and having that polarity creates the attraction was once I learned that, whenever I started dating someone, I stepped more into my feminine. I let them open the door for me. I let them, pay for the bill. I let them, be the provider, right? That they really want to step into.
Or even better, the protector.
The protector.
Different than provider.
True. Yes, protector. That's right.
A man needs a purpose and needs to protect. To fulfill his potential.
Yes.
That's what I feel like. And that's what I'm teaching my son who just turned 5. He needs purpose. He needs a purpose all the time. If he needs a mission, you have a mission and then he's happy. Like, now I have to do this. And when I travel, it's so cute. He has his own bedroom. Whenever I travel, he sleeps in our bed. It takes my spot. He's there to protect mommy.
Oh,
horrible.
That is so cute.
Since he was 3, 4, he knows. And then I come back home. He goes back to his bed.
Oh,
that's crazy.
That is so cute.
Yeah, it is nice. So back to Tony Robbins. I love how he talks about happiness. And he says, basically, of course, in a nutshell, happiness is progress.
Yeah.
Right? And you are reaching Denise 4.0 soon, or 4.0. So it's not even half of your life, but considered kind of half of our lifetime, right? So you're basically reaching the peak. How important is it for you now to keep setting new goals and to keep improving and keep learning? Because many people might think, you know what? I came to Canada. I already have this and this and this. I already learned everything. Now Canada pay me. Or people who were born here too. Like, I'm done. I got my master's and I got this. And I have 8 years experience here and 12 years experience there. And that's it. Now retirement. Now my goal is retirement. But I see that the common trait that most successful people have, if not all of them, is every day they are still pushing and learning.
It's very important because I'm always wanting to learn. And I think right now creating this team has really now pushing me more into this leadership role where I've never been before. Like, I've always had this team that's unofficial, but now it's more official. So it's like learning to become, what is good leadership? What does good leadership mean? How can I lead people and not run a dictatorship, right? How can I inspire the people to take action because they want to? How can I help people find their purpose? Being a leader in itself has really helped me evolve different parts of me and learn more about being a leader that I never did before.
And it is so different being a leader than being a salesperson. Right? It's so different.
Yes, and it's not for everyone because the thing is with great power comes great responsibility, right? As that quote, and I think Spider-Man is said, it's really something that you really want to feel passionate about. And for me, I think COVID, that moment, I kind of lost a bit of passion for real estate because I said, every year the market always goes for, it's like that dangling carrot, like making more money, doing more deals. But when does it end? And so having this team has now created a bigger purpose for me. It's like I almost see my team as like my children that I'm raising, so I like them getting their first appointment and being so happy with their first deal. Their happiness is almost like my happiness. And it's like, I relate that to children because I think that, right? It's like you having, building your individuals up too.
Yeah, last time we recorded an episode here, the guy was sitting here, I was sitting there.
Yeah.
And then I asked him, his company is making seven figures. They're growing super fast. And I asked him, so what do you enjoy the most now? And he said, oh, it's the team. And I pointed at the host and you see. And I've been telling everybody, wow, I enjoy my team so much now.
Oh.
Like we hang out and seeing their successes as well on a personal level. Yesterday night, I keep sending this guy here and some other people from our team. I keep sending them ads from developers.
Oh.
Hey, here's another pre-sale. Hey, this could be your first home in Canada, right? How many times did I send that to you, Josue, in the last week? 10 times, maybe 10 times. Yeah, like, hey guys. And the bigger the dream, the more exciting life gets. How crazy is that?
It is very crazy, yeah.
I was telling you before we started recording, the work is the same. The work to be making ends meet, the work to be mediocre, and the work to be super successful, whatever success means to you, it's pretty much the same.
It is, yeah. Because you have the same amount of time. Everybody has the same amount of time in a day. Yeah. How you choose to spend that time is really the difference maker. Are you being productive? Are you being intentional? And I think intentional is such a key because it's like a lot of us get stuck in being busy. But are we actually productive with our time? Are we making decisions and strides towards our goals, making progress?
Yeah. That's why I think going back to the 8 Ds, that's why the 8 Ds are so important. What are the 8 Ds again? Dream,
desire, deserving, decide, drive, determination, dedication, and destiny.
Wow.
Yeah.
Good, guys. Thank you, Denise. I think we could talk for, it's been a long time. We could talk for another hour. Is there anything else that you would like to say? Any final message to our audience?
Thank you again so much for having me. And I think the biggest message that I want to leave everybody with is that if you are going through struggles right now, it's just...
You can look at the camera.
Oh, should I look at the camera? If you are struggling right now and you are in a dark place in your life and you don't know what to do, just trust that struggle, that sacrifice that you're making, the stressful situations you're being put in, is really creating that strength within you and helping you shift into becoming who you are. And really, it's the story that you're going to leave behind. And just remember that every setback is really your setup for your comeback.
Yeah. That's why I love it. I always say, too, the harder it is now, the easier it will be later.
Yes.
And another thing is, if it's so hard, it means there's less people trying and there's less people succeeding. If it's painful, it means you are already going to be ahead once you overcome this challenge.
If your life is easy now, your life will be harder down the road.
Yeah, I think it is. I like Jim Rohn a lot.
Oh, Jim Rohn, I love him.
He says, don't pray for an easier life. Pray to be prepared for them. Work on being prepared for them.
I can't agree more, because the thing is, it's like real estate. I always to my team, real estate is simple, but it's not easy, because not everyone's willing to do the hard stuff. If you're willing to do the hard stuff, real estate will be easy.
Great. Denise, speaking of real estate, can anybody get your online course? How is that going to work? I know you haven't launched it yet.
Yeah.
Maybe by the time this is online.
Yep.
Where is it going to be available, and who is this course for?
I think this course originally was designed for realtors, but it could be for anyone, because the first module is all about mindsets, and the second one is really about sales skills. And I feel like sales skills, everyone can use sales skills. Like every day we're selling ourselves, whether it be in an interview or on a date. You're selling yourself in one way or another. And marketing and branding, everyone can learn about that. So I haven't decided where I'm going to launch it yet. So I have a domain already, but I'm going to, see if we're going to use that domain,
So we're going to put this information here in the description. You can go and find it now. Go check out Denise's website. Go follow her on Instagram. There's a lot of nice photos of Denise there. She's all over the place too. Thank you so much, Denise.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. It's such an honor and privilege to be here today. Very, very grateful. So thank you.
And thank you for sticking with us until the end of this second episode with Denise Mai, my friend. And if you liked this episode, remember to like it, to share it, and subscribe to our channel on YouTube. I'll see you on the next episode.